Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. How to man up. Don't use no homo. Stop. Stop doing that. All right? If you know a guy who's saying no homo too often, you kind of start thinking maybe he is. All right. After all, what is the term no homo used for? The term is used to cover the fact that you're doing something homo. All right. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put your wallet back in your back pocket because your hands are full of beers. No homo. That's what it's all cover to do something homo. So stop using it. After all, men, real men, don't want to bring it up. They don't want to even think about it. It's like, oh, okay, you're thinking homo by putting the wallet back in my pocket because my hands are full of beers? Now I'm concerned about you. So stop it. Stop doing that. It's weird. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, Madman. You know, I don't want any comments about where I am or anything like that. I don't have to tell you everything. You know, what I do in my spare time. You know, if I'm working on some, you know, see, I'm not even going to let you speculate. It's none of your business where I'm broadcasting from. I got the equipment with me. I got the teleporter. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So no questions about that. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. If you want to tip me, you can send money to my Cash App. Use the hashtag Shock Monkey Radio, all one word. I would appreciate that very much. You can also become a patron. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. And you could get a patron pack. There's only 2 left, folks. Two left, folks. So you bet they're moving quicker than I thought they would. So you better act fast. I also kind of got some other stuff. Sometimes you get a few beers in you, and you're like, hey, let's go shopping for promotional items. So I came up with this thing. The only thing I can call it is the Madman Hates You puzzle. It's a 20 by 30 inches jigsaw puzzle with 1,014 pieces. And as you can see, there's a lot of white in the picture you got to make. And you'll see there's tons and tons, just like right off the top. There's like 2 right there I could grab. But just like blank white pieces that you're going to have a hell of a time putting this jigsaw puzzle together. See, I mean, look how big it is. There's lots of pieces in here. And I was like, you know, my audience is a smart audience. They could probably figure out a difficult puzzle, but I don't know. Who'd want to sit there and do that? Who do I want to inflict this puzzle upon? Well, I gave one to my dad. You know, just to, you know. Thanks, Dad. You know. Because he's into puzzles, so. But what do I do with this one? I was thinking maybe I can have a contest. You know, like maybe you make a playlist on your YouTube channel of all your favorite, like top 10 favorite Shock Monkey Radio clips. You take the links from my channel and put them in your playlist. That's how those playlists work. You do that, you know, maybe like whoever has the best playlist, I'll send the puzzle to you. And then I don't know. It's so complicated. I feel like I have to give you a prize if you complete it. But it's not like I'm going to ship out this $50 puzzle to every single fan that wants it. So you complete it for this contest. Maybe we can do that again years from now when I'm much, much more rich and famous. Yeah. Just rich. I don't care about being famous. But it kind of comes with the territory of this. Anyway, if you're successful. But still, you know, like there's a lot of people who are like, who the hell's PewDiePie? I don't care. Yeah. Also, you can follow me on social media over here at DNALETSAW on Twitter. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on the Twitters. SLRobs13 on Instagram and Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. Do you think Superman, if he was really the last Kryptonian, if Superman was really the last Kryptonian, he would be like Nick Cannon? Just knocking up chicks as much as possible? You think he'd be doing that? I think he would. You know? So, I mean, you know, see who survives, because, you know, not all of them are going to survive, if you think about it. I think that movie Hancock had a scene that I think it was deleted, where this girl wants to bang a superhero. And so he goes, and he's like, when the moment comes, I'm going to throw you off me. You know, I don't want you to get hurt. And so there's a scene like that in the movie. And so I was wondering, is like, how could Superman impregnate anyone without killing him? And so I don't know why I thought about this. Like, no homo. You know, I was thinking about Superman. He goes to this lead safe, right? And he puts the combination into the safe, leaves the handle secured. And he goes in the room, watches something on his phone, and, you know, works himself going, gets himself going. And as the moment comes, then he runs over the lead safe, opens it really quick, pulls out a kryptonite jar, unscrews the top real quick, puts his super seed in, closes it up, puts it back in there real quick, and closes it, and goes and throws up for like half hour. That'd be the only way. Right? Who was that dude in Mallrats that was thinking about like the private parts of superheroes? Banky. Yeah, he was thinking about the private parts of superheroes. There's a little Banky in me. Sorry. I got a new shirt. I don't know if you see. They required it up here on this. Anyway, there had to be a certain blend. Anyway. Picture is worth 1,000 words. You want to pull up that Danica Patrick picture? Let's see if we can do 1,000 words on it. All right. This is Danica Patrick. This is a recent picture, I guess. I haven't seen her in a while. And I bet she hates this picture. Her, you know, she's got those, like, you know, like a girl who works out arms. And her face, I don't know, it's looked better. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I got like a weird smile. And girls will do that in photos and stuff like that. If you watch women take selfies, they'll take like 8 and then delete 7 of them, if not 8. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I was making a weird face. So a lot of women hate that. So I bet Danica hates this picture. And so I saw that picture. The first thing that popped in my head was, wow, she's mid. Which is, people think it's mean, and it's not. It really isn't mean. All right. But let's be honest. Danica Patrick has always been mid, you know? And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being mid. Everyone wants to marry a mid, you know what I'm saying? They want to have children with a mid. After all those hot chicks, they're crazy. They're high maintenance and crazy. I mean, they're all crazy, let's be honest. It's not like men aren't crazy too. I mean, they're crazy. Human beings, we're all crazy, you know. But I mean, it's great to be a mid. You know, a mid is somebody you can settle down with, have children with, create a life with, you know? And so it's okay. It's okay to be a mid. And, you know, even when it comes to the 9s and 10s, you know, because Danica Patrick is probably a good 6, you know? And I've seen plenty of pictures where she looks a lot better than this. I bet she hates it because of the I hate the face I'm making. You know? And it's, I've been friend zoned by lots of 9s and 10s. And I understand. I mean, I'm not in their league. But I also, I've seen what happens to, like, really, really hot women. And so, like, because you say to guys, go out there, shoot your shot. Absolutely, shoot your shot. But you got to understand the bullseye of the target is all the 9s and 10s. So if you know any 9 and 10, I ever hung out with them socially, it's like they're constantly being hit on. You know, I knew this one girl, let's call her Nicole. And she was like, just running into a convenience store. And she comes out and she goes like, that lesbian behind the counter hit on me. That's for my number. It must be terrible. I understand it if that makes you mean and but I mean, I guess it could be rough if you're especially high. And if you're like a guy who's married to a 9 or a 10, you know, the worry of her cheating because she may run into a Donald Trump type, some guy who's richer than you, some guy who's better looking than you, you know, the bigger, better deal, as it were. So you always got to worry about that. So there's nothing wrong with being mid. And I want to tell you something about those less than mid. Look, ladies, there have been plenty of 3s and 4s that I've met in my life that I would, you know, as long as they're like, if they're not fat, they're kind to me and other people, you know, and easy to talk to. There are plenty. Ask 3s and 4s. Ask any woman. It's way easier for any woman to get laid than it is for a man to get laid. All right. So what I mean is that, there have been plenty of 3s and 4s. Like, as long as you get along with them, hey, you get along with them, and the next thing you know, you're like, let's go to my house and have a couple drinks, watch a movie, Netflix, and so forth. You're making out with a 3 on the couch, but then you realize, she's got that kind of body I really like, it's like real slender, but like squishy in the middle for the comfort, and you're like, I kind of dig this. And so she comes up to a 4 because not only she gets your jokes, your weird eclectic sense of humor, she gets it. So she's bumping up to a 4. She tells you she loves you. She's a 5. Maybe she starts working out, or like gets a better job, or starts doing well, with her personal business or something like that. And she's a 5. Then you get married. She's a 6. She bears a child for you. She's a 7. You know what I'm saying? Well, when it comes to those lower numbers, there's only room to grow when it comes to talking about love. Because when it comes to rating women just based upon looks alone, it doesn't tell the whole story of a relationship, and it doesn't define the whole nature of a relationship. All right? Because by thinking by that logic, you could marry a 3 and end up, and in your own heart, know you're married to a 10. After all, those hot ones can be crazy. They can be vacuous. Because why would they need to be smart? Why would they need... Because they're 10s, and so like everywhere they go, people are trying to give them free stuff. Everyone needs to marry a mid. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm really saying is Danica. All right, let's talk about some lighter stuff. You okay? You like that? You know about 1-800-GAMBLER for people who have gambling problems? I was thinking about prank calling them. This is so cold. This is like how cold-hearted I am. I was thinking about prank calling them. Be like, yeah, well, it all started with the Pokemon cards. We started gambling for the Pokemon cards, and when I lost Charmander. Just call them and start messing with them. Or you could be like, I don't know, I'm obsessed with D20s. 20-sided die. Yeah. I keep trying to invent a new craps game based upon rolling 2D20s, but the math, the math is so hard. I didn't take statistics in high school. Or you could be like, yeah, I'm reckless with my player characters. I'm a dungeon master, and the player characters, I throw stuff that's too hard at them. It's like I want to punish them because they won a poker game 5 years ago. Or be like, I say you bet to people all the time, and nobody ever takes me seriously. So that's something I thought about on my in my asshole time. Today I'm going to think about being an asshole. What's it like to be an asshole? Making fun of people who have gambling problems. I spend a lot of money in casinos and strip clubs, and I think sooner or later every mature person has to say, "All right, I've had enough of this." One night you come out of there, it's like, I just spent $2,000. Yeah, I've had enough. I've had enough, and that's why I play like free to play casino games, because I like the games. I just don't like you have to have money to play them. You know what I mean? There's very rare charity events where they're like, "Oh, we have craps and roulette. Sign me up." Charity thing. I could win a door prize. I can win a iPad or something. Cool. How are we doing on time? All right, 45, right. So I had this idea a while back when I was doing writing the Exit 13 stuff about the space station Hugbot, where like in the isolation of space, if you're like in a mining colony in the asteroid belt or something like that, and there's like 3 people on the station. You know what I mean? And maybe the station is spread out over a long period of long area of territory on an asteroid, and mining and stuff, storing stuff like that. And the only interaction you really have with other people is sending a cart down a chute that goes down to the refining center, where where Jacob is running the refining center, and he processes the material and sends it over to the shipping center. And so, I mean, it's like one person in each module. And so, you know, the isolation, and it's not like you can really force astronauts and like explorers like this to socialize, you know. And so, you know, if the station has like a medical programming, and plus with the AI and robots and stuff that's coming, you know, they're going to be processing like the vocal tones of the people. They can hear when the stress levels get high. They can read like your heart rate, and it's like, oh, Madman's been stuck out here too long. He's over there in the observatory, and he's freaking out. So they got to send the hug bot, and the hug bot comes into the room with you. It's probably the same hug bot all over the station. People be like, you got to disinfect this thing. All right. And so the hug bot comes in here and it's like, psychological determinations orders coming from Earth has required you 45 seconds with Hugbot. And the Hugbot and so you have to come up to the Hugbot and hug it. And the Hugbot, depending upon like how long and like the psychological diagnosis, it would depend on what the Hugbot does, because it could go shh, 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 or there, it'll all be okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everything's going to be okay. Is this a like crazy, weird, autistic thought that I had? I mean, hopefully, you know, humanity doesn't get that isolated when exploring space. But would that be something? Would that help somebody's psychological state of mind, do you think? Because I don't know. After all, if you're in space or something like that, you know, I don't know how to explain this. It's like men, they want that closeness. They want that, you know, that really eases the tension. You know what I'm saying? So we could go further with like how Elon Musk posted, like, every house is going to have a robot soon. And like, no, that's not going to happen. Because do you remember that movie 42 where they had the iBabe? We're going to talk about some more movies in here in a minute. But in movie 42, there was an iBabe. And it was basically an iPod that was in the shape of a full-sized woman, naked woman. And the ventilation vents for the iPod were in between the legs of it. And so they get a report from, you know, marketing, say, oh yeah, these apparently, you know, kids are getting their fingers caught in the ventilation, messing up their fingers and stuff. It was like, what do you think is going to happen? You design something like that. And I even think about that scene in Pluto Nash, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, where he's like, hey man, can you do me a favor, get my android to jump, bring him in here? And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. I had this fine, you know, Mamacita model. You know, I loaned her out to a friend. I get her back, and she went crazy on me. You know, dislocated my shoulder, broke my hip. It's never going to be like that, okay? Because that's insane. All right? It's like an AI with the robots you could bang. That's a terrible, terrible idea. All right? People will always be cheaper than robots. I'm sorry. What does it take to make life? How many dollars to create human life? It's always going to be cheaper than robots. And that's why you can always get, you know, bus boys, you know. Unfortunately, there's always human people desperate, you know. Got to be a nicer way to say it, Madman. Anyway, let's talk about movies. You know, people want to talk about the movies. I understand you like the movie reviews. And I was like, I've been watching too many movies lately that are good. So I intentionally watched a bad one. I watched Meth Gator. How did I figure it was a bad movie? Intuition. Let's call it, you know, premonition. Anyway, so here's something I will say about Meth Gator. I always like a movie that tackles a absurd subject very seriously. And I do like that. And when I watched this movie, I thought about, yeah, that's what I like about this movie. What I like about this movie is that it tackles an absurd subject seriously. That's good writing. Sorry, even for a B movie. I mean, because, you know, who writes B movies? Good writers write B movies. And so I was thinking about I was watching this movie and I thought about a better movie called Rubber, a 2010 movie. That's a good example of a movie like that where it's just an absurd subject taken seriously, where it's a psychotelekinetic tire that chases people around and makes their heads explode with its psychic powers. Much better movie than Meth Gator. And let's see, Meth Gator. Do I really need to explain the plot to you? I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Florida Meth Gator. It's a meth gator. I don't. Yeah. Probably in Florida. It's a meth gator. Anyway, I don't. Why should I have to explain the plot? Anyway, 3 of 13 stars for Meth Gator. Short review, I know, but it's it's Meth Gator. Yeah. So it got 1 star for being a movie I reviewed. It gets 1 star for tackling an absurd subject with seriousness, and it gets a 3rd star because it reminded me of a better movie, which is called Rubber, 2010. So I had a pleasant memory during the movie, and that helps. Is Cocaine Bear like this? Have you seen Cocaine Bear? Okay. See, I used to want to see Cocaine Bear, but now I saw Meth Gator, and I don't really care. All right, you want to do a longer review? I'm sorry. It was Meth Gator. Okay. Talk about The Wave, 2019 movie. I had 2 pictures of that. Did you have them? Okay, all right. I'll tell you when to switch. Like towards the end, I guess. I had Justin Long in it, so I had to watch it because everything he's ever been in, I've enjoyed. I particularly liked him in Zack and Miri Make a Porno. That scene is like, no, I work in all male casts. Oh, like Glengarry Glen Ross? No, more like Glenn does Gary as Gary and Ross watch, or something like that. I'm sorry, you talking about gay porn? Yes. And I mean, he's always been known as kind of a good character actor for a small cameo. He was also in that movie with Michael Cera where he cooked the mushrooms for his parents and they're flipping out, licking the carpet and stuff. Hilarious. But Justin Long was in the lead, so I was like, oh, okay. And I found out very quickly it's a drug movie, and an interesting one at that. And it's hard to explain what this movie is about if it's not about be careful with strange and unfamiliar drugs. Right? So he takes this kiss drug, weird kiss drug. They pull it out of a vial. They light it up, cook it like it's heroin or something like that, and then you blow on it or something. It becomes a goo. And then there's a giver and a receiver, and it has to be done with a kiss on the tongue. And so the giver puts the drug on the tongue, and then she kisses, or he or she kisses the person, and they share the trip. All right? It's a hallucinogen. Okay? So it's weird. The one who gives it is like the giver, and the other one's like the receiver or the whatever. Plus the chick they got for that role she's like 100% my type. Very cute girl. Anyway, so he's tripping balls through the movie. It's so hard to explain. It's almost like if I had ever taken like LSD or whatever, maybe this is what it's like. I've always wondered what it's like. Those kinds of things don't work on me because of the SSRIs. Hence all the water drinking. So he's tripping balls, and it's all kind of centered around clocks. The clocks start freaking out, and there's like, oh no, something's crazy's gonna come. He gets Justin Long get that worried look on his face, and so then he teleports through time, and he teleports through time only during the time that he's on this drug, and so he keeps skipping around, and sometimes he's in this weird fantasy realm with the chick he kissed, and it's a crazy adventure. There's not many likable characters in this movie. I don't even like the main character. Justin Long's character, I do not like him. All right. Chris Turk, I forget the actor's name, but he's been an actor since the 90s. Huh? Donald Faison? Okay, that does sound right. But he's been acting since the 90s. I should know his name. But Chris Turk and the Giver chick are people I like. And the homeless guy, I like the homeless guy in this movie because he's always offering him a cigarette, and that's very cool for a homeless guy to do. Plus the friend of the Giver girl, who Chris Turk was with, Mr. Donald Faison or whatever. She's kind of cool too because she at one point, like towards the end of the movie, she really rips into Justin Long's character. You think I'm gonna put my best friend in contact with you? You almost got me killed. And that's kind of the point. Is this movie has tons of funny moments, even if you don't understand what's happening, and even just if you're picking up little bits and pieces here of what's happening, there's plenty of funny moments for you to laugh at. I mean, I don't want to ruin all of them. I just want to make sure I got this guy's name. Donald Faison. Thank you, EK. That's correct. You deserve it, buddy. I mean, because he's a hardworking actor. So, I lost my notes. Too busy looking up Donald Faison. Oh no, I came all the way out. Okay, here we go. They edit that out later. Anyway, so plenty of laughs. When Justin Long starts learning how to use this new drug ability, that's when like a lot of the really funny scenes start happening, because he can he'll take a clock that's on a cell phone and he'll bang it against something and it'll send him to a new time. It's wild. But when he starts learning how to use it to affect things in reality, strange stuff starts happening around him. But when he meets this one drug dealer who is like, oh, you're on something crazy? I could probably help you with that. And he's like, yeah, please show me. Because he's freaking out. He's been tripping balls all day and doesn't know what's going on. So he's like, maybe this drug dealer can give me something that'll help me ride out this horrible trip I'm on. So this drug dealer, this is the one funny scene I'm going to tell you about. The drug dealer starts laying out all these drugs he's got. And it's like, depends on what you're on. Depends on what you've taken, And it's like, I don't know what it is. And he tries to describe it. The guy's never heard of it. So he lays out all his drugs. And is like, this is what I got. And he turns around for a second. Hey, man, you got that baggie over there? And as soon as he turns around, it says that Justin Long just puts his face down on the tray and just starts shoving all these drugs into his mouth. It's insane. It's insane. And he sits back and as he realizes what he's doing, the drug dealer gets, what are you doing? Oh, you're dead. It's like, number one, you owe me a lot of money. Number two, you're going to die soon, so I need to collect soon. And so, but he starts realizing how to change the events of what happened based upon once he starts figuring out how to use the drug. And it makes for some really funny scenes. So I don't want to spoil the laughs you'll get. You'll see what I mean, though. And it's funny because people react in a very genuine way when crazy stuff is happening. Because I don't know if you've ever seen crazy stuff happening, but people will say and do funny stuff if something crazy, weird happens. Like if a fight breaks out. I was in a fight once, where a guy freaked out and tried to run and ran straight into a wall, knocked himself out. It's like that scene in Breaking Bad where Skylar threatens Ted Betteke. And Betteke freaks out and starts running and slips on a rug and knocks himself out for 6 months. Stuff like that happens in a panic situation. And so, and people do say and do the funny things when that happens. So it's very realistic in terms of the way people reacting. The Wave 2019, 7 of 13 stars. You may find it hard to follow. It's kind of like the theatrical version of Donnie Darko in many ways. Yeah, this is the friend who tells off Justin Long, deservedly. And she seems pretty cool. I like her. But the funny scenes that happen along the way, it brings you back to reality. It's like, oh, I'm in a movie. This is a movie. It doesn't really matter if the plot makes no sense. And the funny stuff is really the cherry on top of this movie that pushes it over 6 stars into 7 stars. It's better than average. The last scene reveal where you see there's a reveal in the last scene, and you get to zoom in on Donald Faison, and he goes, "Huh, title card," and that's brilliant. That's brilliant writing. You knew when to end the movie. That's a perfect place to end the movie, and kudos to the writers for doing that. And that's why I think that even though, this movie is a crazy, wild, insane drug trip, there was actually some thought put behind the writing, and I do appreciate that, because sometimes you'll see a movie about, drug use and stuff like that, and it's all over the place. I recently rewatched Dude, Where's My Car? It's like, what the hell is going on in this movie? Thank you for having a plot. The wave. Plus, it's a cool effect of the drug when it kicked in, when the wave. Good name for the movie with a good effect to go behind it. Well done. Well done. Let's go on to the news worth knowing. All right. Doing good on time. Had to start early. I got some things to do. Hope you don't mind. Most of you watch this later anyway. Are we in a time loop? Did I take some of that drug? Oh, okay. Social media explodes after Democrats do not stand for 13-year-old cancer survivor. Truly sick people. Most Democrats appeared to remain sitting as a 13-year-old brain cancer survivor was asked to be made an honorary Secret Service agent, which led to swift criticism on X on Tuesday night. Quote, a terminally ill child with brain cancer was given an honorary Secret Service award, and the Democrats refused to stand or clap for the child. Trump administration official Rick Grenell tweeted regarding the interaction between the 13-year-old and the president. Quote, Democrats refused to stand for the brain cancer surviving kid. How awful can one party be? Outkick founder Clay Travis tweeted. Are you just going to say what people said? Let's see what's like. You talking about the kid at all? No. They're just talking about. Apparently, there's a kid who survived cancer, and that's all I get from this article. It's all people's reaction to this. Dear Fox News, I would have liked to hear more about the kid, because that's really the story. You know what I'm saying? But the simple fact is, like, you can watch it. They didn't stand because they're not going to stand for anything that Trump does, and that's just how the Democratic Party has done. That's what they've become. They're so partisan that they can't agree that this is a good thing for all of us to enjoy. Lucky kid. It's just say because cancer. What if a kid like survives and like just starts coming to work when he turns 18? Wouldn't that be funny? he lives another 60 years, and at least he just comes in every day. They're like, hey, when am I going to get a paycheck? Oof, I didn't think he'd take this seriously. But sometimes they do. You give a kid something like this and say he beats cancer, and then he grows up and like works joins the military, joins the army or something like that, does 4 years of that and starts working in the FBI or something like that, starts moving into different areas and becomes a Secret Service agent legitimately. Good for him. But the Democrats didn't want to stand because it may make Trump look like they accept the Trump administration. They're cold and heartless. They had that vote the other day about the men and women's sports ending that, and they all the Democrats say no, we're okay with men beating the crap out of women in sports. And listen, I think the Democratic Party is dead inside. I think it might be possible that the Democratic Party is dead. Or should I just say Democrat Party? I keep forgetting. Is it the Democrat Party is dead inside? It may even be dead, for all I know. Still stinks. But I don't think it should die, or it should at least morph into something else with some more reasonable people to abandon this sick and disgusting behavior, and come on board with America for the big win. Why not? I mean, you're absolutely welcome. Anyway, apparently Trump talk last night. I haven't caught up on that particular aspect of the news today. Been busy. Been storming here and stuff like that. All right. Slotkin blasts Trump's foreign policy in response to Congress. He would have lost us the Cold War. Slotkin. What an unfortunate name. I run a casino. My name's Alyssa Slotkin. I'm sorry. So, the Democrat from Michigan, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, blasted Donald Trump's foreign policy agenda Tuesday after the president addressed Congress, claiming that Trump would have lost the Cold War if he had been president in the 80s. In the 80s, I was like 20 years old. You know, I was partying all the time. I didn't care. I really didn't care about the Cold War. I'll tell you what. Russian models, they were great. Slotkin's remarks came after the Trump addressed a joint session of Congress on Tuesday in a speech similar to the annual State of the Union, where he declared that America's back and America's dreams are surging. All we want to do is end the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity, said Slotkin, who was tapped to deliver the official Democratic response to Trump's address. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. The Trump would have lost us the Cold War. You know, I used this article because I think it's a good idea that there's always a response from the minority power, the Democrat, like in that when like a Democrat president speaks, there's a Republican response. I think that that's good. Plus, you get a much more terse summary about what the opposition party is really concerned about, talking about, and then you can like zoom in on that news story or what he said and figure it out. I don't know how you news, but anyway. So she obviously zeroed in on Trump's tense Friday exchange with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, where Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance sparred with Zelensky over whether diplomacy was the best avenue to bring peace in the end of the conflict. I'm not going to go into that. Everyone's talked about that. So Trump and Vance said Zelensky wasn't grateful to the U.S., and the exchange stalled. I guess I'm talking about it anyway. Stalled peace negotiations and the end of the war in Ukraine, and put a pause to rare earth minerals deal between Washington and Kyiv. However, Trump revealed in the speech to Congress on Tuesday that Ukraine was ready to resume peace negotiations and ready to sign a minerals agreement that allowed the U.S. access to Ukraine's minerals in exchange for U.S. support in the country. While Trump has touted that he seeks to achieve peace through strength, a term coined by former President Ronald Reagan. Reagan must be rolling in his grave following the spectacle between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office, Slotkin said. I don't know. I wish they'd use direct quotes more often. Slotkin, a former CIA analyst who worked at the Pentagon and the White House under both George W. Bush and Barack Obama, also attacked the administration's efforts to whittle down the federal government workforce. Quote, the mindless firing of people who will protect our nuclear weapons, keep our planes from crashing, and conduct the research that finds a cure for cancer, only to rehire them 2 days later. No CEO in America would do that without being summarily fired. Summarily fired, Slotkin said. Anyway, on and on, they'll whine. You know, they're not going to give up. You know that, right? You're not going to get, I'm sorry. You're not going to get an apology. You know, that's the same thing. You're not even going to get a chance to say, I told you so. They're shoulders deep in their own asses, that's for sure. All right, let's go to the next story. Democratic Representative Al Green, not the same, booted from Trump's address to Congress and doubles down on impeachment. You suppose the guy only got elected because people are like, oh, I love Al Green, and they vote for him?
That's not who I thought I was voting.
Exactly. Seriously, do you think that's why he won? Because everyone loves Al Green. The real Al Green, not this guy. All right. Democratic Representative Al Green of Texas doubled down on impeaching President Donald Trump following his disruption and removal from the president's address to Congress on Tuesday night. Green, a longtime critic of Donald Trump, told reporters after being removed that he was working on articles of impeachment against the president and defended his outburst at the start of Trump's speech. This president is unfit, Green said. He should not hold the office. Green said it was worth being removed from the joint session of Congress to make his point, which he said it was to object to Trump by saying he had a mandate. He did, though. Anyway. Quote, I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid, Green said, referring to the health care program used by 80 million Americans. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people. They only have Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. But it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us out there who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, he said. Green's outburst saw the congressman wave his walking cane as he stood up and shouted at the president. Republicans drowned him out with chants of USA, USA. Who is it? Old Hickory, Zachary Taylor Thomas, or not Zachary? No, maybe it is. There's a guy, I forget, one of the Chester A. Arthur, maybe. They called him Old Hickory because he carried his walking cane and like beat people with it. Seriously. So House Speaker Mike Johnson, the Republican from Louisiana, issued a warning for order, banging the gavel and saying, "Take your seat, sir." When Green remained standing, Johnson ordered the sergeant-at-arms to restore order by removing the long-serving congressman from the chamber. When reporters asked Green if shouting at Trump's speech was the best way to get his point across, the congressman did not waver. Quote, "It is the best way to get across a point who uses his incivility against civility. Against our civility," Green said of Trump. Did you just learn that word today? Civility? Anyway. He is a person who has consistently used incivility against civility. I guess so. It's the word of the day, apparently. You get a candy bar every time you use it? Johnson said afterwards that Green should be censured by the House among the more serious reprimands that colleagues could mete out. You know they're not going to, though. I mean, they shouldn't. He said he yelled his piece. He was escorted out. No need to worry about it anymore, if you ask me. You want to add more paperwork to the stuff you got to do? Anyway. If they want to make a 77-year-old heckling congressman in the face of their resistance, if that's the Democratic Party, so be it. But we will not tolerate it on the House floor. That's fair. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I accept the punishment. Fair play. That's what I think. That's fair play. You may be an idiot. You may be colossally wrong, but that's how our government works. Just we don't have to get to a point where you're beating somebody with a hickory stick. That's because it's next story. DC Black Lives Matter Plaza to get a new look and replace street murals as part of evolution. Some Washingtonians are displeased after learning the days are numbered for the current look of the Black Lives Matter Plaza situated near the White House. Protesters were at the plaza on Tuesday night, Fox 5 DC reported, after Mayor Muriel Bowser posted about the evolution of the plaza to X, saying that it was part of DC's America 250 mural project, where we will invite students and artists to create new murals across all 8 wards. Close the streets down for that? Anyway. The mural inspired millions of people and helped our city through a painful period, but now we can't afford to be distracted by meaningless congressional interference. Bowser's statement referencing the recently introduced bill that calls for changing the plaza. Comes from the top, huh? The devastating impacts of the federal job cuts must be our number one concern. Yeah, they don't want to back this anymore. They know how corrupt the whole thing is. Some say the Democratic mayor succumbed to pressure from both Donald Trump and the Republican-controlled Congress, probably. Her move came one day after Representative Andrew Clyde from Georgia, Republican from Georgia, introduced House H.R. 1774. If passed, the bill would withhold certain appropriation funds from the District of Columbia unless the mayor in District of Columbia removes the phrase Black Lives Matter from the street symbolically designated as Black Lives Matter Plaza, redesignates such street as Liberty Plaza, and removes such phrase from each website document and other material under the jurisdiction of the District of Columbia. End quote. You know why? Because it's racist. Writing Black Lives Matter is racist. You're singling some race out, somebody for their race, positive or negatively. Plus, we all saw what happened with the Black Lives Matter fundraising. They hyped up this whole thing with George Floyd, a junkie, mind you, a violent career criminal junkie who died in custody out of excited delirium, probably. He didn't choke or anything like that. And Derek Chauvin is rotting in prison for a crime, for no crime at all. All right. Everyone who has any sense knows that this whole Black Lives Matter fiasco was just that, a fiasco. But like I said, you're not going to get an apology. They're just going to move on to something else. Now they're just going to whine about the people who are getting fired that Elon Musk is recommending that get fired. Because they're not doing their job and they're like a drain on the government. So they're just going to move on to the next thing. No apologies, no reparations. Not even an I told you so. All right. 2 more stories and then we're out of here. I'll lighten the mood with these. I don't know how light this is, but anyway, coffee conflict could signal doomed relationship for a sparring couple. So a man shared a bitter relationship. Bitter, get it? Because coffee? Get it? Bitter relationship. Puns aren't funny. I know you think they're funny. Anyway, a man shared a bitter relationship conflict tied to a morning coffee routine. With over 13,000 people on social media reacting to it, and more than 2,000 sharing their very direct comments and thoughts. Was he wrong? A man wondered in a social media post a few days ago for telling my girlfriend I wouldn't make her coffee anymore until she stops micromanaging me. Ooh. Let's read more. He said he was 24 and that his girlfriend was 23. We've been together for about 2 years. I said we lived together for roughly 6 months. Normally, we have a good routine. I wake up first, I make coffee, and she wakes up to a nice hot cup. But recently, the woman started getting really particular about how she wants it done. She began insisting on a super specific method. Measure the grounds to the exact gram. Pre-warm the mug in the microwave for 30 seconds. Add the milk at a certain temperature, and on and on. He said that at first, he tried to accommodate her request because, hey, if she loves coffee that much, I'll want to make it nice for her. Fair enough. You're in a loving relationship, you want to be nice to your girl. But it got to the point where every time I handed her the cup, she'd grill me. Did you weigh the grounds first? Did you warm the mug? Is this whole milk or 2%? He added that if anything was off by even the tiny bit, she would sigh and say it wasn't good as the right way. The right way. The man said that one morning she literally took the mug from me, dumped the coffee down the sink, and started the process herself, while ranting that I never do it the right way. The man became frustrated by the constant conflicts. I told her, if you're going to be this picky, just make your own damn coffee. I added the damn. I'm done making something, only to be told how wrong I do it every time. The man reported that his girlfriend became upset at his words and that it said that he was overreacting. She said, you just want her coffee a certain way and that I should respect her preferences. I argued that I was respecting her preferences, but just didn't appreciate the constant criticism or micromanaging. And then she accused him of being lazy and unaccommodating. On Reddit, the young man wrote to the others, now I'm feeling guilty because I do want her to enjoy her morning coffee, but I'm also tired of feeling like I'm a barista under constant scrutiny. He asked others on the platform if he was wrong for telling her she could just handle it herself until she stops micromanaging me, or should I just suck it up and follow her super detailed instructions? Dodge, dude! Dodge that bullet! Dodge, dude!
You're so close.
Bail! Roll to dodge! Get out of there! Get out of there! I don't care if she's a 9 or a 10. This is like 9 or 10 behavior. Really what it is. Incredibly fastidious. Dodge that bullet, my man. Anyway, it's, the only word I can come up with is fastidious. You're impossible to please. And I bet even when she makes her cup of coffee, she's not happy with it in the final process. I guarantee it. It's like that old joke, and it's like, oh, there's a room, a store where you can shop for men, And this first floor is a bunch of, poor guys with menial jobs, not very good looking, and then there's an escalator leading to the second floor. Oh, these are good, middle American jobs. They got good careers, they got trades, they got, education, fairly good looking, and then there's a third floor. It's like these are the hot and rich guys, all the hot and rich guys. There's an escalator to the fourth floor, and on the fourth floor, there's just a sign that says, you just go back down, This floor is only exists to prove that women are never satisfied. This is how it sounds like when doves cry. All right, let's go to this last story. See if it comes up for me. I was locked out of it earlier. Flight passenger asked to switch seats 3 times by 3 different people on one trip. Flight passenger on a recent trip found himself or herself nearly switching seats 3 separate times with 3 separate individuals, begging the question, how many requests to switch seats on a flight is too many? On one flight is too many. On the subreddit known r/United Airlines, user referenced a recent flight involving multiple seat changes and little ability to decline their requests until things became to a head. I was going to visit my family in San Juan. I treated myself to a first-class window seat on the left side of the plane so I could see my grandma's house while I'm coming in. Come on, dude. Really? What are you, 14? Anyway, he wrote on blah, blah, blah. His username is Make Your Own Sandwich. When I arrived at my seat, there's a very elderly woman in the aisle seat and another woman in the aisle seat across the way. The younger woman said, "This is my mother. She has dementia and she can't feed herself. Can we switch so I can care for her during the flight?" Passenger promptly relocated to another seat. Nice guy. Or girl. Just a short time later, 2 other women approached the same flyer and asked the person to move once again. They asked the passenger to move to the aisle seat so the 2 women could sit together. At that point, I was seething. Really? It's just another aisle seat. But seeing as I barely touched my butt to the new aisle seat, and I just said whatever to them and moved. Flight passenger continued. Then on the Reddit writer went on that when a third person came up and said, "Hi," I immediately said, "I've switched twice already. You can take it up with someone else." The passenger did acknowledge that he or she, lost my place here. Passenger did acknowledge that he or she could have refused to switch each time, but said that the desire to be empathetic and accommodating to others in the situation. It's a good instinct you have. You should go ahead and just keep following it. Quote, "I know I chose to move for these people, but I'm so upset that I paid for a specific window seat and my options were basically help a woman with dementia but enjoy my view, or move and sit in an aisle seat by the bathrooms." Other Reddit users joined in the conversation, sharing that the controversial seat hop. Okay, I don't care what other people think. Look, I'm the kind of guy that would switch seats. First of all, I'm going to be reading or or watching movies probably the whole trip. I mean, the first couple times you fly, seriously, unless this is like your first time flying and you've never looked out the window or you never had a window seat, I would say it's hard to say no to the women with dementia, but I don't know. If you really wanted a window seat so you can see mom's house, I'm sorry, but being kind to people doesn't really, take that much effort. Especially when you're on a plane. I mean, besides, if you're in the aisle, you're more likely to live, I think. So, and I mean, as long as it's still a first class seat, I don't think I'd have any problem. Me personally, they could ask me. I'd be playing musical chairs. I would be making jokes, musical chairs jokes. It was like, this is the 4th time. Hey, do you want to switch seats with me? Hey, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, trust me, you can see out the window from an aisle seat. So, I mean, I don't understand why you're seething about something like this. If it sounds like you're flying alone. And I think that maybe, plus, you see so many of these body cam footages of like people getting drunk at airports and stuff like that, throwing off flights. And, it's just one big bar anyway. One big bar. Everyone's like on pills, they take a sleeping pill and they have a couple beers and they get on the flight, sleep through that uncomfortableness. So, I mean, why isn't that what you do? Watch a movie, read a book. If you're weak-willed like me, you pop a sleeping pill and have some beers. Have a couple of beers. Anyway, I want to remind you again, go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. 2 patron packs left. That has the Shock Monkey Beach Towel, the Shock Monkey Beer Koozie, the Shock Monkey playing cards, bottle opener, and stickers. 2 left. And I also have these puzzles. So if you have any ideas of what to do with the 1,014 piece puzzle, the idea of spending money on this stuff is to like promote the show and to get you to promote the show. Get you to promote the show. So please do that. Like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want, you can start working on a playlist of your top 10 favorite Shock Monkey videos from my website, from this channel, and start working on winning this Jigsaw puzzle. The Jigsaw puzzle that proves the Madman hates you. Like, follow me on social media over here at DNALATSAW on Twitter, Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.